It's Inspector Pulse at home. I recently got an email from someone who's been watching my Inspector Pulse at home investigations. And the person said to me, well, you, meaning me, that's the problem with these things, you, meaning me, have investigated and talked about variations using Twinkle Twinkle and modes using Twinkle Twinkle and London Bridge, and also you've investigated different keys using Twinkle Twinkle and London Bridge. But anyway, the question was, what about storytelling? How does music tell a story? You know, I was investigating this and I discovered that Twinkle Twinkle is going to be a little difficult for storytelling because it's a long, happy, simple tune and it doesn't ask a question. So I have to change it. Now, what do I mean by that? There's a question. I looked at a lot of famous pieces that seem to tell some kind of story there somewhere, like stuff by Beethoven. And there's a piece by Beethoven that starts like this. And it seems that's kind of a question. That's not a big tune. It's like asking a question and asking more of the same question. And then I found this by Beethoven. That seems to be a question too. Especially that part right there. Very short, kind of a question. And the most famous Beethoven, that is kind of a challenge. It's a problem. And then I was thinking stories always have problems, don't they? They all have conflicts, like Cinderella, Harry Potter, Little Red Riding Hood, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. They all have problems that have to get solved. So that means that I would take Twinkle, perhaps, and turn it into a question or a problem theme, a motif, they call it, that seems to be asking a question that needs to be investigated, which is great because I like to investigate. So here is Twinkle, the opening of it. And if I want to make it short, maybe I'll just do, there's a question. And I'm going to investigate that question by changing keys, maybe changing modes and rhythms. It's not going to be variations, because remember, in a variation, the tune stays recognizably itself all the time. Just like when I change hats, I look different because I'm varying how I look through hat changing. But I'm still Inspector Pulse all the time. But if I were to have a real problem and had to change and grow and evolve, I'll get back to that in just a moment, that would be very different. And here is, let's say, an experiment with Twinkle developing. That's what we call it in music. It's a development of the tune, not a variation. It's changing and developing. Let's try a little bit of Twinkle. Mysterious now. And maybe turns into something completely different. Maybe there's a climax. And then it comes back, maybe, and sounds like itself. But we've learned something because it's been through some trials and tribulations. That's kind of a storytelling. We don't know exactly what the story is, but we know the shape of the story and the mood of the story, and that's what music does. It tells the shape and the drama of a story without the specifics. You don't know if it's a monster. You don't know if there's something wrong with the kingdom, or, you know, what's going on at all, whether people are coming from outer space or all the dogs are tap dancing. You just don't know. But you get the feeling. Let's try London Bridge is Falling Down. I'll take just that much, use the rhythm, and change keys and modes, and dramas is going to start happening, and it's going to be like a story about something happening to a fragment of London Bridge. And it starts to come back now. I feel better. Wait a minute. Now that's kind of a story too. You know, whenever you have a problem or a question that you have to confront, there's a kind of a story there. Let's say you're studying violin or piano and you find it at first rather difficult to get a good sound on the violin, and then you're playing Twinkle, and then eventually you practice and you struggle a little bit, but it's worth it because you become great at it, and then you feel really wonderful, and then you get a new piece that you can't play and you have to practice that. Well, that's life, and that's storytelling, and that's how storytelling is in music. It's the shape of the story through rhythm and pitches and the motif and the keys and the modes. They all come together to give you the emotional shape of the story. Just think about that, and maybe you can make up some music that will tell a story, and you don't have to tell anyone what the story is. Just let the music give the feeling. Hi, Katya.
Hello, Inspector.
Do you know any storytelling pieces for solo violin?
Well, yes, I do actually. There's this piece called The Nightingale by Bruce Adolphe.
That name sounds familiar.
Hmm.
But you know, I don't think I know Bruce Adolphe, but I do know The Nightingale. I heard it online. Do you know the theme? Can you play the theme from it?
Yes, I can, Inspector.
Okay. Katya, you know there's a spot in The Nightingale where the music really tells the story. The bird is trying to fly out the window, fly away, but it can't because its leg is tied to the windowsill. And as much as he tries to fly away, he can't do it, and it's very sad.
Yes. The C sharp represents the window ledge.
Yes, and the violin music goes higher. It's trying to fly. The bird is trying to get away, but it keeps coming back to that C-sharp window ledge. Can you play that part?
Yes.
I remember the story of the nightingale correctly, at one point they let the bird free and he flies away back into the forest. What does that sound like? Katya, do you remember that part of the nightingale story where they're looking for the nightingale, they're searching everywhere, and they're listening for its song?
Yes, then suddenly someone says, "Shh, I think I hear the nightingale." And this is what they hear.
That's no nightingale, they say. That's a cow mooing in the field. Thanks for playing the excerpts, Katya.
My pleasure, Inspector. See you next time.
Hi, it's Inspector Pulse at home again. Remember, you can leave your questions for Inspector Pulse, that's me, in the comments section below. Click on the link in the video description to find more activities related to this that you can try at home. See you next time.